My name is Andrew. I'm a guy in my 20s who graduated from high school but never attended college. I'm gonna talk about my past and what happened recently. My family was really poor. Both of my parents were frequently sick and often missed work, so our income was low. Plus, both of them had part-time jobs, so it might be better to say we were destitute. With two younger brothers at home, it was tough to get by with our parents working part-time. Sometimes, our neighbors would share some food stamps with us, and those were the moments I felt truly miserable. While everyone else's family could live without needing to receive food stamps, I wondered why we were so poor. I thought it would have been better if they hadn't had me, given our poverty, but complaining about it was pointless. Now that I've been born, we have to struggle to live and work hard just to eat. High school was a terrible time for me. I was constantly mocked and ridiculed by a rich kid in class, Ken. His dad worked in a trading company and apparently made a lot of money. The reason he was in a public school was that he was a returnee from France, having attended elementary school there. So, during French class, he would show off his proficiency with a pronounced accent, which I found arrogant. But I couldn't match Ken in studies or sports. He was smart, excelled in all subjects besides French, and was also good at basketball, getting a lot of attention from the girls. That's why Michelle, considered the most beautiful girl in school, and the school's Madonna, would blush just looking at Ken. Michelle had a bit of a mature vibe, and I never heard her talk about the type of guys she liked. Unlike other girls who get excited talking about love, I never saw her like that, so I thought she was kind of cool. Ken seemed to have a crush on Michelle but hated the idea of confessing himself. He took it for granted that all the girls would come on to him, but I don't like that either because it's not very nice. I cursed Ken in my mind, thinking he was an arrogant jerk. Ken insulted me even more, always calling me poor or low class.
Hey, your shirt is fraying. Aren't you going to fix it? Well, I guess low-class people can't afford new ones, especially since both your parents work part-time. If it were me, I'd get a new one right away, but you, Andrew, would wear clothes even if they were full of holes. Pathetic, really, the life of the low class.
So what? I'm not bothering you, so just leave me alone, will you?
Man, for a low-class poor guy, you sure talk big. I'm the son of an elite businessman. I don't want to be talked down to by someone as poor as you.
But the impressive one is your father, not you, Ken. You're just a high schooler who hasn't earned anything, acting like a person who swaggers about under borrowed authority. Lame.
What did you say? Say that again. Both your parents look so poor, and you're like a filthy homeless person. Seriously, you stink. Don't you ever take baths? That rundown apartment you live in probably doesn't even have a shower. Can even afford the bare minimum for a cultured life, huh? This is just too good.
That's it, I'm outta here. Ken would hassle me about my frayed uniform, which was incredibly annoying. He bragged about being able to get new things because his family was rich, which, well, was true. He would thoughtlessly throw away things like erasers in the school trash can if he deemed them useless or slightly worn out. To me, those erasers were still usable, so it seemed like such a waste. One day, Ken threw away an eraser again. It was more than half unused, so I picked it up quietly. Then Ken saw me and burst into laughter.
Well, you've started picking things up now. You're just like a homeless person. Yeah, typical poor person heading straight for homelessness in the future. I'll give you this eraser. Do you want this half-eaten lunch too? You always just have one rice ball. You probably can't even afford rice, right? The rice at my house is top grade.
Cut it out. Why do you always say such mean things? Ken, you're messed up.
You taking Enru's side? Who do you think I am? I'm the son of an elite. And I will be an elite in the future too. Just shut up.
I won't be silent. I hate people who are mean like you. Even if you are good at studies and sports, you don't deserve respect. Instead, I respect Andrew, who is a better person. Andrew always cleans meticulously and even takes the initiative to tend the flower beds.
Ray, it's enough. You'll become the target. Don't worry about me.
Respecting this trash over me. Huh? That's funny. He's a good-for-nothing poor guy. Only good for cleaning and gardening. A useless person who can neither study or play sports has no place in this world. People like me are the ones who are needed in society. Just shut up, all of you.
Enough. Let's go, Andrew.
The only one who stood up for me was a classmate named Ray. His father was a police officer, which might be why he had such a strong sense of justice. He would step in to stop bullying and help anyone in trouble. Ray was always there for me, the only bright spot in my miserable high school days. When we reached 9th grade and it was time to seriously think about our future, I naturally wanted to get a job right after high school. Both my parents worked hard every day, and I had younger brothers to think about. So, I decided not to pursue further education and work to support my family instead. While everyone else was listing the universities they wanted to attend, I was the only one who wanted to get a job. Ken said he was going to a famous private university in the state, known for its high tuition fees. It just confirmed to me that he really was rich. Ray, who was quite smart, wanted to attend the second best state university. I always received help from Ray, so I really hoped he would get in. During that time, while everyone was busy applying for universities, I wasn't doing much. Well, I was preparing for employment, but I hardly studied at all. Eventually, Ken got into the famous boys' school, and Ray was accepted into the high school he wanted. At the graduation ceremony, everyone looked cheerful, but I think I was the only one with a gloomy expression. After all, most of them were all going to universities, while I was heading to work. Even though it was the path I chose, I still wished I could have experienced further education. I heard from someone that the charming Michelle was going to a prestigious university. She was quite smart, so it made sense she got into a well-known school with high standards. After the graduation ceremony, I started working. At my job, I was always overworked. Being young, I often got yelled at by the other workers. Working in society turned out to be much harder than I thought. When I received my first paycheck, I was shocked because it was much less than I had imagined. After deductions for social insurance and other things, my take-home pay was about $1,000. I thought I might be better off working part-time, but since I had secured a full-time job, and I had heard it was difficult to find another job with just a middle school education, I decided to stick with it and do my best. Time flew by before I knew it. I turned 25 and was commuting between work and home every day. Recently, I've been so busy, hardly getting enough sleep, and mostly eating food bought from convenience stores. I thought this lifestyle would eventually break me down, but surprisingly, my body has been robust. My parents are often sick, but for some reason, I rarely catch a cold and haven't had any serious illnesses. I wake up in a daze, turn on the kettle, and prepare to drink coffee. It's too much hassle, so I always go for instant coffee in the morning. While mindlessly scrolling through news on my smartphone and drinking coffee, I got an email from Ray. It seems Ray has the day off. He followed in his father's footsteps and became a police officer.
Suddenly, a reunion has been set for next month. I want to see how everyone is doing, and I was wondering if you would like to go, Andrew. Well, I won't force you, but let's go together if possible.
I replied. It's so sudden. Have the place and time been decided?
It's at a restaurant in Midtown. They're renting it out for the event. It's on the first Saturday of May. I'm free that day, so I'm thinking of going.
Right. I don't have any particular plans for that day, so I'll go. But I probably wouldn't if you weren't going.
That's nice of you to say. Well, I also want to meet you. It's been busy since we last met.
Then, let's meet at the reunion. And so, I decided to go to the reunion. I wasn't sure where the restaurant was, so I met up with Ray at the cafe and we went together. Ray looked a bit tired, probably from work the day before, but I recognized him immediately because he still looked the same. Ray, it's me, Andrew.
Hey, long time no see. How have you been? Yesterday was bad, dealing with a drunk guy who threw up all over the place.
Being a cop is tough, but it's an important job, keeping the town safe.
Well, I'm not in the career track, just working all right. I flanked out of college after all.
That's still impressive, Ray, you are doing your best. Ray flunked out of college and then passed the exam to become a police officer. His father was a high-ranking officer, but it seemed he was happy that Ray became a cop. Ray's family had a tradition in the police force, with his grandfather also being an officer, so they must have been happy he followed the same path. Then we arrived in front of the restaurant. It had a very stylish exterior that seemed appealing to women. I don't have a girlfriend yet, but I thought if I brought one here, she would surely be pleased. Inside, everyone was already gathered, and Ken was chatting loudly. When Ken noticed us, he smirked and said,
Hey, look who's here. The college dropout and the high school educated bottom feeder.
Come on, you don't have to say that right at the reunion.
But it's true, isn't it? You were pretty smart. Too bad you flunked your dream school. Guess I was just way smarter. I graduated from the prestigious university and became a businessman like my dad. Yale, I'm elite. Believe it or not, I'm already earning close to $100,000 a year. That's why I can afford to live in a luxury apartment. And when my salary goes up even more, I'm planning to move into a high-rise condo.
Oh, really?
I bet you're still living in poverty, huh? What's with those clothes? Can't you afford anything better? I'm all about the designer names. This is from Aramol, and the watch is Omega. Nice, right? You guys could never afford these. Well, elites like me have to wear these things.
Yo, Well, I'm not that interested in designer names, so it doesn't really matter to me. Do whatever you like.
Keep pretending to be tough. Go ahead. You'll just live your life as a bottom feeder.
Ken continued to ramble on about himself. He was already married and boasted about how beautiful and good at cooking his wife was, and how he earned enough to let her be a stay-at-home wife. But I didn't quite like his way of saying he let her be a stay-at-home wife. There are various situations, like men requesting their wives to stay home, or women needing to because raising children is demanding. However, Ken didn't have any children yet, and hearing his remarks about providing for her made me think he really looked down on women. He probably always believed that all women would fall for him, and that he deserved to be popular. That's why he could make such comments about women. I thought to myself that feminists would be furious if they heard this.
Hey Michelle, do you have a boyfriend right now? You don't seem to be wearing a ring. So you're single, right?
Well, I'm too busy for a boyfriend right now. Maybe I'll consider it when I have more time.
Oh, really? Don't you want to catch an elite guy like me? You know, a project I proposed at work got approved recently, and my boss praised me a lot. I'm definitely on track for a promotion. After all, I'm an elite, a graduate of top-tier university.
That's impressive.
And as a reward, I bought the wallet I wanted. It cost $2,000, but that's what you expect from an elite like me, right? I work hard in the trading business.
Well, that's nice.
Michelle, who was the school's Madonna, still looked dignified and beautiful. In fact, she seemed even more beautiful than in middle school, almost like a lady. I had heard that Michelle's family was quite wealthy, but I never knew what her parents did. I figured she probably wasn't interested in nouveau rich types like Ken. To begin with, Ken is a married man, but he is really sick and tired of being delirious with a woman who was his Madonna at school. Despite his boasting about how amazing he was, Michelle seemed utterly uninterested. Then Ken glanced at us and said to Michelle,
Did you know? This guy's annual income is just $10,000. I'm making $90,000, and soon it'll be $100,000. Cool thing, huh? Being a high school grad really is losing, isn't it?
Hey, enough now.
Look, his family lived in an apartment, both parents working part-time. Living in a run-down apartment is just sad. When I lived abroad, my dad was an expatriate, so we stayed in a condo with a maid and everything. Nice, right? Well, I might also be sent abroad and live in a luxury condo. I'll let my wife be an expat spouse, allowing her to live the life she wants. If we have kids, I'll send them to an international school abroad, just like I did.
Stop it, man. You're out of line. I wanted to leave. I thought I'd have a good time at the reunion with Ray, but this was too much. However, it suddenly started raining outside, and I didn't have an umbrella, so I decided to wait inside the restaurant for a while. 15 minutes later, the guys were excited, saying a luxury Mercedes had pulled up in front of the restaurant. They had gone outside for some air, but now they were making a fuss about a black Mercedes arriving, complete with a chauffeur. I headed to the entrance.
Sir, I'm here to pick you up.
The chauffeur said, leaving both Ray and Ken surprised.
Wait, President, you mean Andrew?
Yo, I've been busy and couldn't get in touch, but I'm running a company now.
You're the president. Don't joke. What's fun about lying like that?
It's not a lie. You might know it. The Ace Corporation.
That's one of our clients.
Not knowing your own client's president. That's just pathetic. I've always known Ken was with Bridge Trading Company. I've seen him coming and going at our place.
What? You're the president of Ace Corporation. I apologize for what I said earlier. Please don't report me to your head office.
I won't end business dealings over personal grudges. Though, I might request a change of representative. More importantly, I've heard you've been unpleasant to our female employees.
What? That's...
I received a consultation email from that employee earlier. Well, this isn't about personal grudges, so I will formally lodge a complaint. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. I pulled out some money and handed it to Ken. Everyone was crowding around the Mercedes, squealing in excitement. Only Michelle stood dignified.
Did you enjoy mocking Andrew, saying he only earns $10,000 a year?
That's...
Where did you even get the idea he makes $10,000 a year?
Because I knew the first company he worked for paid low wages.
Andrew climbed up from there. You probably have no idea how much he struggled. Ken, I got so fed up listening to your talk earlier. I'm going home.
Michelle, wait.
Well, I guess I'll head home too. Come on, Michelle. Ray, get in. I'll give you a ride home.
Damn you. Get lost, you bastard.
No need to tell me. I'll disappear. And as for what happens to you, well, that'll be interesting to see. I instructed the driver on where to go and dropped Trey off at his house first. Then, left alone with Michelle, I suddenly felt awkward. I'm not good with women and didn't know what to talk about. However, I was genuinely happy that Michelle stood up for me. I had always thought Michelle was beautiful and had secretly harbored feelings for her since high school. But, being from a poor family and poorly dressed, I never thought I could approach someone as out of reach as her. Michelle was staring out the window silently. I had called the car because of the rain, but she broke the silence after watching the rain hit the window.
I knew you were very hardworking, Andrew.
Really? I don't think I did anything to be seen that way.
Because remember at school, when everyone else couldn't clean some stubborn stains, you managed to get rid of them, or when the script for the school festival wasn't ready, you helped out, right? When everyone was about to give up, you were always there to help. I thought that was very hardworking of you.
I didn't know you thought of me that way, but I was just a poor, shabbily dressed guy who was always made fun of by Ken, wasn't I? And even today, he was mocking and saying mean things to me.
You should ignore such people. They probably say those things because they're not confident in themselves. I don't like that type of person the most. Isn't it sad to be someone who only cares about showing off and making themselves look big? I don't want to be friends with such people.
Well, you're right. Ken was always an obnoxious braggart, and it seems he hasn't changed at all. I don't want to become like that.
I don't think you ever will, Andrew. After all, you don't act superior even though you're a president now. One of my friends from university works at your company, and she said you're a very kind and good president.
Really? Which one is she?
Amy Taylor. We were closest in university.
Oh, Amy. She's a very good employee. I had no idea there was a connection. Surprisingly, One of Michelle's university classmates was working at my company. I was a bit surprised since I had no idea about this connection. You never know how and where people might be connected. That's why I always wanted to value connections and treat people well. I saved money while working at the company. I started with after high school, contributing to family expenses, but also saving and living frugally. Then, I decided to pursue the work I always wanted to do. I started a business young, hoping to make life easier for my family and repay my parents. At first, the business didn't make much profit, but gradually, it caught on. My business's rapid growth surprised everyone around. We started doing business with trading companies, and I was supplying products to Ken's company, Bridge Trading. Ken had visited our company several times, but he never realized I was the owner. I thought it was normal for a businessman to remember the president of a partner company, but Ken seemed only interested in immediate profits. Additionally, I was recently informed about his harassment towards our female employees. Well, I'll report him to Bridge Trading, and he'll probably lose his account. I even thought it would serve him right if his wife filed for divorce. After that, I drove Michelle home. She wanted to exchange our contacts, so we did. I had never exchanged contacts with a woman on a personal basis before, so it was thrilling. Michelle's face was a bit red, probably from the alcohol. My face was probably red too, but not from alcohol since I don't drink. I thought it was because I was thinking about Michelle. That's why I felt so warm. After contacting Ken's company, it seems that Ken's wife left him because of it. Honestly, I thought he deserved it. Later, Michelle said she wanted to thank me for the ride and invited me out to dinner. When we met at the designated place, Michelle was in a bright dress with her hair up. I started to wonder if this was a date and felt nervous. I had never had a girlfriend in my 25 years, so I was at a loss about what to do on a dinner date with a woman and froze up.
Don't you like the food? It's my recommendation.
No, it's really good. I was just lost in thought. Sorry, I spaced out.
I see. But what were you thinking about?
Well, I can't really say.
Actually, I've been thinking a lot recently too, about a certain man.
A man? Do you have a boyfriend? Then, it's not right for me to be dining with you, right? Look, if your boyfriend finds us, he'll be upset. Hey, I should go.
Don't be silly. I don't have a boyfriend. I always thought I didn't need one, especially since I'm busy with work. But lately, thinking about a certain classmate makes my heart race.
Really?
It's you.
Michelle smiled mischievously and winked at me. Was she always like this? I wondered. Michelle, who had always been cool and kept to herself since high school, was smiling at me, even winking. I thought my feelings were unrequited, so this made me so happy I could have jumped for joy. After that, we started dating smoothly. I thought Michelle was quite cool, but she had a playful side, and I was captivated by this contrast. Her occasional girlish smiles were so charming, and they made me incredibly happy. Thinking I was the only one who could see this side of her made me grin. Nearly a year has passed since we started dating. Holding the engagement ring I chose for Michelle, I headed to our meeting spot for the date. She was waiting for me at the cafe and handed me a coffee. With Christmas approaching, the town was brightly decorated with lights. We enjoyed shopping together before heading to a high-end restaurant. It was a bit early, but it was the season to enjoy a Christmas dinner. Michelle had a business trip next week, so we decided to have our date today. At the restaurant, I quickly took out the box with a ring. Michelle, I chose this because I think it suits you perfectly. This is a symbol of my love. Please accept it.
Could it be an engagement ring? Oh, I'm so happy to be cared for so deeply, to be loved this much.
Of course. You're my precious girlfriend, Michelle. I want you to stay with me forever. I'll cherish you for a lifetime and take care of our family. And of course, if we have children, I'll be actively involved in raising them. So, please marry me.
I love you too. Let's be together forever. Thank you.
And so, Michelle and I became engaged. I never thought I'd achieve such normal happiness. As a child, I was poor and disliked by those around me, but somehow I made it through on my own. But when I really think about it, it wasn't just my effort alone. It was also thanks to Ray, who always protected me, and my parents, who worked hard to raise me. So, I decided to proudly announce my engagement to Ray and my parents. When I told Ray about the engagement via email, he was very happy for me. He even called me, crying with joy. I felt so fortunate to have such a good classmate, and I ended up crying too.
That's great, marrying Michelle. I want to attend the wedding. Enjoy your happiness to the fullest. Whatever happens, never let go of Michelle.
I know, Ray, thank you. I'm so grateful you were there for me in high school when Can bullied me. I'm lucky to have a classmate like you. After that, we visited each other's families to share the news and got their blessings. Then, we had our wedding. Ray came and cried while celebrating with us. He really is a crybaby. Now, we live together, combining our strengths as a married couple. I plan to cherish my wife, Michelle, forever,